Hello, beautiful people. We are live with five viewers, I take that back. So tonight, me and my counterpart, Joseph Sacitella, we will be doing a podcast. Why are you saying hold up? I just got into the intro. You can't say hold up right when I get into the intro.
I said hola.
Oh, I thought you said hold up. All right. Take that back. All right. So we're starting a podcast called Down the Rabbit Hole, where our viewers pick a topic and we go down the rabbit hole. Essentially, we try to figure out what we know about a topic, and then we're gonna try to think what do we think we'll find when we're researching this topic, and at the end we're gonna compile everything that we found out. We don't know how long it's going to take. This is the first episode of hopefully many, and we thank you all for tuning in. And if you guys have any suggestions or any links or anything like that, please put them in the chat. You guys are welcome to help us on this journey to figure out what we can figure out about Satanism. That's the episode for tonight. We don't know where it's going to go, but we're going to try to figure out something. So let's see. All right, Joe, what do we think we know off the bat? Actually, introduce yourself, Joe. Tell everybody who you are.
What's up, guys? I'm Joe Sacitella. Coming here to talk about some. Oh, so I make music. That's my main thing.
Yep.
Live in Connecticut. Oh, geez.
I got to turn you up. I got to turn you up a little bit.
Voice, find me interesting. And you'll get to know more about me as we dive into these topics and grow with our community. So
Joe, what are you drinking on tonight? Because I'm drinking on something called a tropical. I made it with sun-kissed orange, and it's got a lot of mixtures of alcohol. So we're going to be getting nice and litty during this whole experience. So we'll see how it goes. What do you have, Joe, over there? I know you're sober and free of the alcohols.
I got myself a nice cup of Joe.
Okay.
Excited to be sipping on this cup of Joe. Let me tell you, I held back on my morning coffee in order to drink a couple cups right now while we get into this.
Hell yeah. All right, so I started with the first topic. I said human sacrifice. That's what I think I know. I think that with Satanism, there's definitely human sacrifice, right? There's got to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We definitely got to get you on the camera here at some point, but we'll work on that as the podcast grows. So what do you think? What do you think you know about Satanism off the bat?
Off the bat, so I'm just gonna go off the bat what I know top of my head. So I know a couple people. I've met quite a few people working in the Navy, right? I've been all around the world, met a lot of different people from all around the country, specifically that and from all walks of religion, believe it or not. And I met a couple people who were not. I still know a couple people who have come out as Satanists. And
wait, you know people
nice
who are Satanists? Hold on, you know people who are Satanists.
They're not. I wouldn't say they're like full blown Satanists, but they consider themselves Satanism and they follow some of the teachings of Satanism. And they're nice people. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're nice.
Okay, wait a sec. You're telling me that Satanists are nice people right now? Is that what you're telling me?
All I'm saying, in my limited experience of people who are Satanists, the two that I've met are indeed nice people. They come across as friendly, well mannered. Okay, that's I would say on a surface level, and then definitely
well mannered.
Diving deeper. Yeah,
they've been well mannered.
Definitely.
Are you serious? Okay, so
yes.
Should I even write that in there? Some
I would say
Satanists.
So, that's what. If you've ever met, I don't know anybody who's ever met a Satanist, tell me they're not.
Okay.
At least a nice person. I guess there's nice and good and bad people from every walk of demographic of religion of people.
Well, hey, my question is, do you think they follow like a Bible, like how Christianity and Catholicism does?
Bible.
Okay, so we know that there is a Satanist
Catholic Mass,
Bible now. Oh, Black Mass. Okay, I'll do Satanist Bible / Black Mass. So I want to know more about this Black Mass. I want to know what that is. And I want chat, if you guys have anything, if you have anything you want to put out there, if you guys know anything about Satanism, make sure to drop it in the chat. Let us know, and we will look into it tonight. That's what this podcast is all about. We're going down the rabbit hole of Satanism. So let's see if we can figure some stuff out. What I think I know about Satanism is human sacrifice for sure. Obviously, they worship the devil. I don't think we need, or Satan
Mm-hmm.
himself. I don't think we need to say
Mm-hmm.
that. I know there's pentagrams and probably rituals as well, right?
Rituals. Yep.
Pentagrams
Rituals. Yep.
slash rituals. So we could see what we'll find with that. I think that might tie into human sacrifice later. Um,
So, um, Satanism is essentially so. We'll get into this in a sec, but another thing about Satanism. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh shoot, it was you got Black Masses, Ozzy Osbourne. If you think of Black Sabbath, they were known Satanists.
okay, well,
Um,
is that confirmed? Do we know that for a fact? Are we leaking that on this show right now? Known
are we leaking
Satanists.
that on the show? We'll Google it, confirm it to be true. But I mean, you look at some of their the Black Sabbath is a pretty Satanist idea, and that's one of the longest standing bands I think in rock and roll history.
Okay, so we might look into that. Black Sabbath. I don't know if I'm spelling that right.
Hmm.
Comma. Where's the fucking comma? Are they Satanists? So, all right, where do you want to start off with? Where should we start off with? Should we just Google? Should we just start off with a nice old Google, the old reliable? Should we just send a Hail Mary out there?
Might as well, yeah.
All right,
Good old
we're gonna
reliable.
Hail
See what
Mary it.
pops up first.
Oh wait,
Let's Hail
we
Mary this
forgot to do this part.
all
I
the way to
forgot.
Kingdom Come,
Bear
baby.
with us.
All the way to Kingdom Come.
Hold on. Bear with us. I forgot about this part. What do you think we'll find? Chat, if you guys have any, what do you think we'll find? Tell me in the chat, what do you think we'll find about Satanism? Satch, I want to know from you as well. Because I think we'll find some very dark things about Satanism.
Well, I think we'll find about the general meaning of Satanism, which is, you
Okay.
know,
General
the devil. The devil
meaning.
in Christian history is a fallen angel, right? That's who he
Lucifer
literally
himself, yes.
is. He's a fallen angel.
But this has turned into a religion, right?
It's a religion. Yep, because
So
people worship the devil.
we'll find out that it is confirmed a scuffed
The devil
religion.
is about
No,
the devil.
I'm not going to put that in there because people actually do worship things, and you never know with 2020 and how you might get canceled. So it is a confirmed religion. All right.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, the Church of Satan was just. I think it was just recently, maybe in 2019,
Wait. You're
confirmed a legitimate religion.
Hold
It
on.
was
You're
confirmed as a
telling.
legitimate religion in America, like a recognized religion.
So
Tax-free churches.
in American culture, you can practice Satanism freely. Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
That's kind of insane.
Yeah.
With all this dark shit. Okay. So, all right, this is what I think. I think we'll find goat. Well, not just goat, but animal sacrifices
Yep.
for sure. That's
Yep.
what I think we'll find. I don't know if we'll find human sacrifices. Maybe in earlier time Satanism, we'll probably find some animal or not human sacrifices. But I think with what we'll find for modern day Satanism is more of an animal sacrifice. So I think that we will definitely find when we dive deep into this rabbit hole here. And you know what else I think we'll find? I think we'll find a lot of like not curses per se, but more of spells. I think we'll find spells, witchcraft.
Incantations.
Yeah,
Incantations.
witchcraft slash incantations.
Wiccan's an entirely different language. I mean, a language, religion, Chris.
Okay, well maybe
So
I don't
Wiccan
know.
is a
I
whole
think there
different
might be some
rabbit
spells
hole.
like with the pentagrams. I don't know. I don't know what they do. So that's what we're hoping to find when we do this. And again, if anybody has any ideas in chat, please feel free to just put them right in there. If you guys, what do you guys think we'll find? Let me know. Type in that chat. We're going to start this off with a Google search. We're just going to type in Satanism and see what pops up. I mean, what can hurt? Is the devil going to come from the computer himself? I don't know, but we're about to find out. All right? And if you see my cats running around in the background, type !tweak and you can find out about one of them. He's in a lot of pain, and I really want to get him the surgery he needs. So please type !tweak if you feel for animals and you want to learn a little bit about one of the kittens that I rescued. All right, but here we go. Let's kick it off. We're going down the rabbit hole officially. Are you ready, Joe?
I'm ready.
All
Let's
right,
go.
Satanism. I guess we'll do the Wikipedia first. Are you looking at my stream? It might be on delay, so you might want to go with me at the same time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me. Let me.
All right, I'm gonna read this off right here while you pull it up. Satanism is a group of ideological and philosophical beliefs based on Satan. Okay,
Satan.
so a
There you
lot
go.
like religion with Christ, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot like what is it
Christ
called?
was a mortal
Like how
being, just like.
Muslims believe Muhammad is the one true prophet, and so basically Satanists. What I get from this statement right here, this first statement off of Wikipedia, is that Satanists worship the devil. They worship Satan. That's the one thing. I know it sounds simple, but that's literally the basis of this religion, which it is a
Mm-hmm.
religion by looking at this ideological and philosophical beliefs. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you look at this, I didn't even look at the second sentence. And look, it says contemporary religious practice. Oops. Oh, fuck, I hit something. Contemporary religious practice of Satanism began with the founding of the Church of Satan in 1966. So this has only been around for about 54 years now. Yeah, 54 years. The Church of Satan has existed for 54 years, but has it actually existed for 54 years? So let me write
Interesting.
that down in what we found. What did we
Okay.
find?
So I'm going to tell you something a little bit about what I just found.
Let me hear it.
Satan's first appearance is not in Christianity. He began as a Zoroastrian devil figure of Angra Mainyu. Zoroastrianism, by the way, is one of the oldest recognized religions. It's older than Judaism. So he began in Zoroastrianism, which is essentially
Okay.
like the dawn of religion.
How do you spell
And
that? Because we need the chat to see this. Okay, it popped up right here on the Google search. A monotheistic, pre-Islamic. It's pre-Islamic. That is
well,
way back.
pre-Islamic. Well, Christianity is pre-Islamic as well.
Yeah. Religion of ancient Persia founded by Zoroaster in the 6th century. So it was founded by Persia, it's saying, in 6th century BC. This is before Christ.
Right. Zayas told me a dude in our unit that practiced it. There you
Yeah.
go.
So
They're the guys who wear the turbans, I believe.
Who are the Islams or the Satanists?
Zoroastrian people wear turbans, I believe.
Okay, so let's go into this. Let's see. Zoroastrianism practices. Let's go right there. We're going to come back to Satanism to that Wikipedia page. Zoroastrians believe that the elements are pure and that fire represents God's light or wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Zoroaster placed less emphasis on ritual worship instead of focusing on the central ethics of God, or of good words, good thoughts, and good deeds. Zoroastrian worship is not prescriptive. Now that's a lot to take in there. So what you're telling me, Chicken, is that there's somebody in your unit that used to practice it or does practice it. So, that's kind of creepy to think that it's that close. I know of somebody when I was going through my initial training in the Army who was a Satanist. And he did the whole pentagram thing with all the candles outside of our barracks room. And it was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. And he was a nutbag. I think he got kicked out of the Army, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so it derives from Zoroastrianism, correct, Joe?
Yep,
that's where it derives from.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Zoroastrianism.
Well, they say the oldest, like, you know, it began as the Zoroastrian devil figure of Angra Mainyu or Ahriman, which opposed the Zoroastrian creator God and tempted humans. So he's essentially the polar opposite of what you'd think of as God. Or
Okay.
He opposed. He wouldn't be the polar opposite. But
I get what you're saying.
Opposes everything that God says.
So yeah, so he's the yang to God's yin, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. So that's what the Zoroastrianism belief is. So let's go down this even more. So the Church of Satan started in 1966 officially. Is that when it actually started? Probably not. This has probably been practiced for years and years. Okay, yep, see, although a few historical precedents exist. Okay. Prior to the public practice, Satanism existed primarily as an accusation by various Christian groups toward perceived ideological opponents rather than self-identity. So that what that tells me right there, and what that should tell you guys when it jumps off the screen, is that Christians were calling people Satanists because they opposed the will of God. That's kind of what I see, because it was accusations by various Christian groups toward perceived ideological opponents. So people who did not believe in their beliefs, they called them Satanists. But I still believe that Satanism started way before and even while Christians were doing this. It had to have been. The dude claimed that they would gather, and like he's gotten thrown across a room before. That's what he claimed. I mean, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take everybody's first word, and I'll take it and I'll interpret it how I will. Did he actually get thrown across a room? In his mind, maybe. Maybe he believes that. I didn't actually see
Could have
it.
been a
I
mind
wasn't
thing.
actually there, so I can't say if he
You know,
did. But this shit is kind of sketch. This shit is kind of sketch.
Another point I forgot to mention. One time I was hanging out with one of these people who was who proclaimed himself as a Satanist of sorts. He didn't say he completely practiced it. He said he was he was overall sort of like a kind of an observer of religions, more of a practicer of any one religion.
Okay.
But he did. So one time I was hanging out with him and we listened to a couple black masses. We listened. You can go on Spotify actually and
What?
find. Yeah, I forgot to mention that in the beginning. That's
What?
probably something I should have thrown out there before.
You can listen. Wait. So you're telling me that they feed black masses through Spotify?
Yeah, you can go onto Spotify and find them.
So I like to be neutral on everything, on mostly every topic, because I feel like if you have to start a podcast or you have to talk about something that's controversial, you have to be neutral. So I'm not going into this saying Satanism is bad and that Christianity is the best. I'm not going into that saying this. And I don't want to put myself in a certain stance that will contradict either religion, but I will say this is Christianity has its beliefs, Satanism has its beliefs.
Excuse me.
So it is kind of fair that it is there on Spotify. Just as many sermons and pastors.
Spotify's a platform. I think in its neutral state, Spotify is a platform simply for anybody to stream their.
And I think when it comes to them, it's just strictly business as well. If people are streaming it and people are listening, then it's strictly business. But then again, that raises so many more questions, because what if it's something that's preaching like human sacrifice and there's encrypted languages? We don't know. We're just getting started with Satanism, and we have however many more hours it takes to figure out as much as we think we can. And I think it's kind of crazy that it's actually on Spotify. I think it gets a lot more hate, but. I don't know. I think it's because people are conditioned to think Satanism is bad, but is it bad? Is it actually bad? That's what I want to find out. Is Satanism actually bad?
Satanism, at its core, Christians would be.
Jamie says we should stream a Ouija board. I'm down. Joe, if you want to come down to Maryland and we stream this Ouija board, I'll do it. I got the perfect lighting for this, Jamie. We can do. You want to come too? We can do a Ouija board. My sink turns on in my bathroom. It just turns on randomly, I guess. And the doors open randomly, so who knows? Maybe I do have a ghost in here, maybe I don't, or it's just the fucking cats. But
we could probably I believe in energy, leftover energy from certain entities that may have been in a place. Actually, there's some scientific evidence that supports the fact that is it's literally a thing that can happen. It's like when you enter a room. I forget. It's been a while since I watched this video, but it's like the light is almost leave like a light trace wherever you go.
Like a glow.
And it stays, and it stays there for it's like 30 days if you're just kind of like walking by. So imagine if you're living somewhere, you're leaving that energy, I would say physical, maybe metaphysical energy wherever you go, whatever you're doing, kind of like a footprint, like a trace of what you're doing.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. Aren't we like 97% stardust. No, we're like 97% water or some shit like that. All right, let's get
Yeah, we're
back
a lot
into
of water.
Satanism though. Okay, I'm seeing some things that I really like to see and some things that I'm really interested in, like the Knights of Templar. I could see that right here, and the Cathars and all that stuff. So I want to get a little bit deeper into Satanism right now. We jumped a little bit off topic, tried to stay neutral with Christianity and
Tangents will
Satanism.
happen.
They
Tangents
will.
will
I
happen.
mean, it's a podcast. We got to talk about the controversial, and we have to stay neutral
Yep.
through it all. And we got to bring people, I wouldn't say the facts, but the best neutral opinion that we absolutely can towards both of these things and towards
Of
anything we
course.
bring up. So
Absolutely.
accusations that various groups have been practicing Satanism have been made throughout the much of Christianity or Christian history. So I'm seeing a lot of Christian, but I feel like there's more religions to this. I feel like there's more sub religions or more main religions that actually talk about Satanism. I,
Hmm.
I I don't know if I'm bold to say that, but I feel like there's different variations of Satanism in different religions, and I feel like to put Christian history or just to label Christians as the only ones that call people Satanists, I feel like that is a little disservice to every other religion
Well,
as well.
Satan is he's supposed to represent, I think, at his core, like human mortality, human
Okay.
desire, and sort of instant gratification. In the I guess you could say the positive side of instant gratification and um, what else? Like
So you're
human
telling me like
lusts, like
the
sex and
rush of man,
alcohol, and
like when you get that adrenaline rush, you're like, okay, I'm doing something crazy right now. That's what you're saying. Satanism represents, or Satan represents that. Like, oh,
yep.
I know I'm
If you
doing
look at it from
something
a
bad, but it
oh,
feels good in the moment.
yep, and this is
Okay.
this is just what I think. But I think, like, if you base it off of Star Wars, you have the Jedi who are very emotionally cool, almost to a fault, right? And then you have um, the Sith
Okay.
who are angry and passionate, and they're taught to act on those angry and passionate desires, their ambition, their intense ambition to a fault as well. When it gets out of hand, and that is, I think, a good way to describe Satanism's
Well,
like who Satan is, like what he kind of represents. He represents the dark side. He's the anti-hero.
yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I mean that's a good
He can be the
analogy.
anti-hero, I think, in his lesser harmful state, right?
I think that's a very good analogy. I think it is, and I mean, for those of you who haven't seen Star Wars, it, there's the light side, dark side, basically. And what that also shows is that people who are on the light side can turn to the dark, and people who are in the dark can turn to the light. So it's like you have to pick and choose, because I think when it comes down to people, they feel like a certain thing is light to them, even though it might be dark to somebody else. So you have to really look at to what you're believing in, because some people might not actually believe what you believe. So let's look at this. During the Middle Ages, the Inquisition attached the Catholic Church. Okay, so we're getting into Catholic now. It's not just Christian. Okay, so I spoke a little too soon. The Catholic Church alleged that various heretical Christian sects and groups, such as the Knights of Templar. I love that, dude. If any of you could look, we might do. We're actually going to do an episode on this, the Knights of Templar themselves, because that is absolutely nuts. If you actually read into what they did and everything that they did, it's just insane. They fought wars for God, which just coming out of my mouth doesn't make sense. Such as the Knights of Templar and the Cathars, performed secret satanic rituals. So, what this is saying, the Catholic Church alleged that Christian sects, like the Knights of Templar and the Cathars, were Satanists. That's what the Catholic Church said. So, I mean, that's coming from the Catholic Church's mouth, um, calling out some Christians. So there's obviously some turmoil in religion here. We can see a lot of people don't agree with each other, and I think that's what we're going to find a lot throughout this whole entire thing, is that a lot of people just do not agree with each other. So what do you think about that, Satch? The Catholic Church is now calling out Christian sects and groups, saying that they're Satanists because of what they do. And if you want to know about the Knights of Templar, I suggest you look it up, but we will go deeper into this later. A brief rundown is they basically went on holy missions or holy wars. They raided, they pillaged, they raped, they did as much as they could to receive holy objects, which they believed were uh, they were basically holy conquests, and they killed a bunch of people and did a lot of bad things in the name of God, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And they tore shit up. To be completely honest, they tore shit up. The Cathars I haven't read into as much. I've heard of them. Um, I don't want to go out on a limb, but we'll look at this right here. Catharism was a Christian dualist or Gnostic revival movement that thrived in some areas of southern Europe, particularly what is now northern Italy and southern France, between the 12th and 14th centuries. The followers were known as Cathars or good Christians. So they were known as good Christians. But the Catholics are calling them out for being Satanists. So we can look that up in a separate thing. Let's at least get through Satanism. So, Satch, upon hearing that Catholics are now calling Christians out, or certain Christian groups, I wouldn't say all Christians, they're calling out certain groups for being Satanists. Do you believe that maybe there were Satanists infiltrating Christianity? Or do you think this is just come to my church,
Um,
not your church type of deal? And stop grabbing
Sa-
on the cord, you cat. Where are you?
so Satanism, from an extremist Catholic or even Christian point of view, is going to be anything that opposes the will of God, right? Literally anything. So if you're having premarital sex, you're a Satanist. If you're, getting too drunk, you're a Satanist. And that's what
Okay.
that's extreme Catholicism. Well,
Okay.
maybe not Catholicism in general, but Christianity in general. If you go against the will of God, if you're gay, you're a Satanist. Not even
Okay.
just, you're just not a Christian, you are a Satanist because you are doing what Satan would provide, because in their minds, it's either one or the other. It's one
Yeah.
of, you can't, it's either you're getting saved from the devil or you're getting tempted by the devil or you're God saving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what
It's
you're
either you're
saying.
doing God's will or the devil's will every time. So whatever choices you choose
There's no in
is
between,
going to
is
be
there?
amongst those.
There's
No.
no in between unless you
If
absolve your
you
sins
if you
or you
doubt God,
completely
if
denounce
you
God.
doubt God and you look to a alternate source, that could be seen as Satanism in some Catholic views.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're probably, in that particular group who's saying that, is probably just on the more extreme side of that.
I got my cat on stream right now. This is Lil Bean. She's the cutest little kitty ever. All right.
Also,
So,
offering yourself in any way, like you hear in blues music a lot about
she turned my
so
mic down.
let me tell a quick story about a blues artist. He said people say he was one of the main. He started blues essentially. His name was
Yeah.
Robert Johnson. He was a black fellow from the 20s who was trying to make his way as a musician, and he's very hard to find. He's only got a few things in music. There's only like 2 or 3 alleged pictures of him in real life, but he's a legend. Eric Clapton has talked about him. Bob
Yeah.
Dylan modeled a lot of his stuff after him. Like the biggest names in music that you've heard of modeled a lot of their blues influences from this guy.
Yeah.
And the story goes, what he did is he was not a very good guitarist or blues artist, right? And he's a black kid in the 20s. White people
Oh, I
hate him.
think I know what you're getting into. I think I know what you're getting into.
Okay, you already know where I'm getting into.
I think I know the path we're going down.
I love this story.
This is down the rabbit hole right here.
Down the
Exactly.
rabbit hole. These are the things you find, man. Robert Johnson. So what they say he did, and you can look it up, and other people have done this. They say Bob Dylan did the same thing. Some folks say that. Some people say that there's a couple other people that don't come to mind right now, but Bob Dylan is said to have done the same thing. He would go out, he would perform, and then he would suck. People would boo him off stage, so he disappears for a year, and then he comes back, and all of a sudden he's the best guitar player anybody's ever heard.
Well, do you think that's
And
just
they're
straight
like,
practice, or do you think he actually
exactly.
did?
But what people would say, the legend is, he went to a
Oh.
crossroads in Missouri. He went to a crossroads at like a full moon, and he offered himself to the devil in order to be an amazing
Okay.
blues guitarist, and the
So,
devil appeared.
I
And
think
he said this is the thing. This is what I'll do. I will tune your guitar for you in the manner I'll tune your guitar. will give you all these powers to be the greatest, to be the father of
Wow.
blues and all this crap, but I'm going to take your soul.
I
And
think I've heard that story
and if
too.
you and then he took it, right? He took the guitar, the devil tuned it for him, and then
Yeah.
what happened was after he started playing these songs and stuff, and he started getting amazing. But then when he was, I think, 27, he's also, I think, the father of the whole 27 Club thing. When he was 27 years old, he had a brain aneurysm and died. But the songs that he wrote towards the end of that resembled the sort of story that hellhounds were
Here.
chasing him,
Oh
and that the
shit.
devil was coming after him, and that he was going to die because of what he did.
Can we look
It's
something
an
up real?
amazing
Can we
story,
look
dude.
something up real quick?
It's one of
I
the
think
most.
chat would love to see
It's the
something like
legend.
this.
It's a legend. You should look up a picture of him. He even looks like he's possessed, kind of.
Hold on.
Like
Well,
his face.
okay. Give me.
If you ask
What's
me.
his name? What's his name? Say it again.
Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson. Yep.
Johnson. Big
Yeah.
old Dick Johnson. All right, let's see this.
Yeah, old big Wiener Johnson.
Okay.
The man with the
Well,
Lord.
Richard
Clean.
is Dick actually, so I think Bob Johnson.
Robert Johnson. Yep, that's him.
They don't have a picture. Let me go back to images of him. This is the Wikipedia. We'll go to images. Let's see. Does he look possessed, chat? Let's find out. Well, okay,
I think so. He's got
Bean,
like
get
a
off of
weird
there.
kind of glow in his smile.
This is
if
him
you
right
ask
here.
me.
Does he has kind of a dead
Handsome man.
stare. He's kind of got a little bit of this guy has okay, so just to recap for people. This guy has been claimed to sell his soul to the devil to become the best guitarist. And you said it was at a crossroads where?
In Missouri.
In Missouri.
The Delta. Mississippi, or maybe Mississippi. Sorry.
It might have been
The
Mississippi. Okay.
Delta or the Missouri Delta.
Okay.
I'm not
We can look up where did Robert Johnson.
I believe it's the Mississippi Delta Blues.
I don't know how to spell Johnson. Johnson.
Bob Dylan was said to do the same thing.
Oh, look at the top. Wait. Look at the top search result. Where did Robert Johnson sell his soul to? Oh my gosh, this is nuts. All right. We're actually going down a rabbit hole. Clarksdale. Legend has it. Okay, let's open this up. This is actually nuts, Joe. This is actually nuts.
Yeah.
Get this fucking ad out of here. All right.
This is history. This is American legends right here.
Okay. Sometime in the mid-1930s, number 5 in our
1930s.
series of the 50 key events in history of world and folk music. The Faustian tale of the troubled man making a pact with the devil is a recurring motif in Christian mythology. So this is in Christian mythology. It's a motif. I don't know. However you want to say this word right here. It often seeped into music. 2 centuries ago, people believed that Italian violinist. Okay, wait. Is this even about him? Okay, yeah.
Only a few
people.
weeks, it says.
Okay. It often seeped into music. 2 centuries ago, people believed the Italian violinist. I don't want to butcher this. Paganini's powers were satanic, but none of these myths have proved quite as enduring as that of Robert Johnson. So you're telling me Robert Johnson is the strongest case we have right now?
Mm-hmm.
The bluesman Sunhouse, a contemporary of Johnson, insisted he was a decent harmonica player but a terrible guitarist until he disappeared for a few weeks.
It's less than a
Legend.
year. I thought it was a few weeks.
No, you said it was like a year, right? And this is saying a few weeks. So he disappeared for a few weeks. Mind you, not a year like we previously stated. This is a few weeks. And however you want to take it back in the 30s, whatever a few weeks is, my guess would probably be a few weeks is 3.5, probably a month. He probably left for a month. And people are like, wow, he's been gone for only just a couple weeks, All right, legend has it that Johnson took his guitar to the crossroads of Highway 49, just like Joe said, Highway 49 and 61 in Clarksdale, Mississippi, Mississippi, where the devil returned his instrument in exchange for his soul. So do you actually believe that people can exchange things to the devil? They will get something from the devil for their soul.
Personally, and since we're trying to get into yes, I do believe that energetic energies can be transferred in such a manner. I think if you truly believe that you want to sell your soul for a power like that or an ability like that, you can do it.
Okay, but tell me this: is that actual Satanism, or is that just making a deal with the devil? Because they don't actually practice
Well, it's by
Satanism.
nature. It's by nature Satanist because he's offering
Okay,
the devil his soul for a skill that he would immediately receive without
okay.
having to work for.
What we found, I think we're gonna asterisk this. All right. So what we found, selling your soul is by nature Satanism, but by no means
That's what any. I think that's what every Satanism does in order to be incited into
says
Satanism itself. Is
you
you got to sell your
practice
soul for some sort of
Satanism religiously.
satanic niche that
Okay.
you'll acquire.
So you're telling me, so people that sell their soul, it's kind of like, say sometimes I'm like, God, please let me get this right now, right? So
Hmm.
I'm like, God, please, I I I need this poker hand to come through. I need it. I absolutely need it. Please, like, God, I need this right now. So you're telling me people selling their soul is kind of like that, or just a little bit more extreme? Like the devil,
Yeah,
I need to be the best blues artist in the industry right now.
I
Please
think
help
this.
me.
Yep, and you say, "Please help me," and he says, "I'll do this, but I'll take your soul."
Okay.
And usually, what that entails is people like you'll never you'll kind of live in anguish when you're by yourself. Right? You won't have that soul um, that you once had. You won't have that sort of longing for uh, for life. It'll disappear.
Okay. Okay.
It'll
So,
it's like in Pirates of the Caribbean when
excuse me.
Barbosa and his crew takes all the gold, and then they have all this gold and they can spend it all in like all
Yeah.
the food, drink, sex. But then he says suddenly the water couldn't quench the thirst, the food would turn to ash in their mouths, and the sex could not slake the lust. He
Yeah.
says so nothing would satisfy them. No, like all this stuff that they
I
originally
see what you're,
wanted
yeah, I see what you're
disappeared, and then
saying.
they're left with nothing at all. You know
Do
what
you
I'm
think
saying?
that's
Not
kind
no
of
gold,
how,
and
like,
now they can't. Now they're cursed.
so, I mean, this is kind of a little far-fetched, a little off topic, but that's kind of like how genies work as well, right? And in
Three
mythical belief,
wishes.
3 wishes, you get whatever you want, but it's never actually what you want. Does that make
In a
sense?
devilish, yeah, in a
In
devilish
a
form of it.
devilish way.
That's where
Okay.
devils in the
Or a
details
jinn.
come
A
right there.
genie is also referred to as a jinn. D
A jinn
J
in Egyptian
I
is
N N.
in Egyptian and Arabic. Yeah, oh yeah, in Arab in the Arab world, the
So
jinn is something. A jinn is actually a demonic spirit. A
so
genie can
let's
be looked at
let's
as a
let's
positive
bring
thing.
this back. Let's bring this back to Satanism, because we're getting deeper down another rabbit hole, which could be a whole different thing with genies. But so Satanists, you're saying by nature, if somebody wants to sell their soul to the devil, they're considered a Satanist, no matter what.
Hmm.
Correct? Because they give in to the will of the devil, not the will of
You are,
not the
yeah,
will of
by
God. That
I
makes
think by
that does make sense. I mean, that does make
yeah.
sense. And chat, remember guys, anybody who's in chat right now, if you guys have any input, you guys want to tell us anything, you guys have any ideas about Satanism, any beliefs, you disagree with anything, you agree with anything, please let us know and we'll look into anything. Like, we're just trying to figure out more. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to engage, we're trying to have conversation. We're trying to figure things out. Like this right here, I never knew one of the best blues artists apparently sold his soul to the devil. Do I believe that? I wasn't there, so I can't tell you. But by speculation, if it's made it this far into history, something had to have happened. There's no way that you can just turn around in 2 weeks. You know that it kind of seems ludicrous. Is it possible? Maybe. Did he sell his soul to the devil? Maybe. I don't know. But this is what we're doing. We're speculating here. Joe, do you believe
I've,
that he sold himself to the devil? His soul to the devil?
Yes, I believe by technically, yes, he did
And
because
see, this
it
is
just the
why.
story plays out. The story plays out. It makes he if you could believe it or not believe it, but what happened happened, and what happened was
Okay.
he said that he sold his soul to the devil, and then all of a sudden he's writing songs about hellhounds coming after him, and then he dies of a brain aneurysm.
And it says here the story was initially told of an older bluesman, Tommy Johnson, no relation, so no relation to Robert Johnson, but he died in 1956, age 60. It was more hauntingly apposite. Apposite?
Opposite.
I don't know what that word is. Apposite for Robert Johnson, who died in 1938, aged only 27 after a troubled life and an okay. The cat just knocked over a bowl of food that I had earlier. All right, Tweak. Thank you, bud. You're making great podcast history right here. Made me lose my space. We'll read this over again. The story was initially told of an older bluesman, Tommy Johnson, no relation, but he died in 1956, aged 60. It was more hauntingly apposite for Robert Johnson, who died in 1938, aged only 27. After a troubled life and an itinerant career, his only recordings, made a year before his death, still have a spooky quality even 80 years on. Wow. So apparently they have a haunting quality to them, his songs. And I'm sorry, I keep looking over here, like my camera's over here, but my camera's here now. It's kind of confusing, but
I know we can't. I know you can't.
For
Play the
copyright
music
issues,
right now
I
on the
can't.
stream,
Yeah.
but you should definitely give it a listen.
So everybody,
it is a creepy sound.
Yeah.
It's okay. So you know another thing people say about his music is that it sounds like, and you can listen to it, and I believe it. It sounds like two people are playing the guitar at once.
That's kind of creepy. That is creepy. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. If you want to look up Robert Johnson's blues music and tell us if it sounds devilish, please look it up right now and put it in the chat and tell me what you think about his music, because I can't do it on stream because I don't know the copyright issues. So if you want to look up Robert Johnson blues music and let us know how it sounds for your own opinion, please let us know how dark it sounds in chat. We really want to know. We want to talk about it still. We'll come back to this. So YouTube, I was going to look something up on YouTube, but I don't know how far I can go into YouTube. Satch, I need to take a quick break real quick to use the restroom. I've actually drank too much drink. So we're going to have Satch talk to you guys about Satanism and what you believe and all this stuff. And chat, hopefully you engage with him. I'll be back in a short 2 minutes. Let me go use the restroom real quick right now.
Okay.
All right, Joe, you have the floor.
Okay. So yeah, guys, basically anything that anything that isn't the will of God in the Christian view is satanic. So if you're gay, you're a Satanist. If you like premarital sex, you're a Satanist. If you like to do her in the old hole where the sun don't shine, you are practicing Satanism. Also, if you like if you are just longing for the immediate gratification of something that you've always wanted, such as maybe you wanted all those followers on YouTube or Twitch, or maybe you want that whatever that thing is, and all you got to do is make a deal with the devil, but they'll take your soul. And in the devil will take your soul, and that usually does not turn, I think almost every time, that does not turn out well as the legend has it for anybody, because it'll end up
all right,
and I think that's the
I'm
one
back.
thing that really gets people, other aspects of it can be translated in a whole bunch of different ways.
So Joe, I'm back here, and
Hey, what's up?
so my question to you is, oops, didn't mean to pull up Twitch. Sorry, everybody. So when it comes down to this, do you think that Satanism is an actually legit religion, or do you think something that just came about because people wanted to oppose God? Do you think it's legit, like has common practices? Well, I think.
Well, some of the ways of quote unquote God, and especially in the Bible, because I do know a lot about the Bible. I've read through a lot of the Old Testament, so I have a decent bit of knowledge on it. And there's a bunch of different types of translations of God. Like in Hinduism, God is more of like a mindset than an actual person.
Yeah.
And then same with a lot of Eastern religions, I think. If you think of God as like as a physical person, right? As the guy with the white beard in the sky, yeah, he's kind of an authoritarian. Thank you. Authoritative being who kind of bosses people around and says, "Hey, you got to do things exactly this way, or I'm going to crush you." And that's not very loving, right?
No, it's not. It's not very loving. It never is.
So what people want is something that is somebody who says, "Hey, don't listen to this guy. Come listen to me. I will show you a way that you can do whatever you want, like whatever you want, and you're not with no consequence. And that's you know,
Okay, so I
it's
saw
important.
something. Okay, well, first of all, if you're new here, if you're new to the chat, if you're new, please know that if you like and follow whatever you want to do, if you're feeling good, help support us, help grow this podcast just by hitting that follow button. And hopefully we can become something great and eventually go down the rabbit hole deeper onto even bigger topics. So I read this thing when I was looking through the Wikipedia just now. I skipped a bunch, but satanic ritual abuse hysteria. That's what we're coming up with right now. Satanic ritual abuse.
Satanic ritual
Oh
abuse.
shit!
Sorry.
Yeah, you're echoing.
Sorry,
I can hear
I know. I
myself
just
through that.
turned the audio
Okay,
on your
so
stream there.
yeah, it just came up. All right, so satanic ritual abuse hysteria. At the end of the 20th century, a moral panic developed around claims regarding a devil-worshipping cult that made use of sexual abuse, murder, cannibalism in its rituals, with children being among its victims. What do you think of that?
Well, that sounds terrible.
That sounds horrible. And this
That sounds
gets in this.
absolutely terrible.
So this is another thing.
And that's supposed to be for the betterment of society? I don't think so.
So it's saying at the end of the 20, I'll read it again, just so we can all clarify as to what I just said. I'll highlight it too, so people in chat can read it. Okay. Because this sounds horrible right now, and I just saw this, and I was like, "Oh, this has got to do with what I was initially thinking satanic rituals are about." At the end of the 20th century, this is the 1900s. The 20th century is the 1900s. We're in the 21st century right now. This is literally less than 30 years ago. Less than 30 years ago, this was happening. At the end of the 20th century, a moral panic developed around claims regarding a devil-worshipping cult that made use of sexual abuse, murder, and cannibalism in its rituals, with children being among its victims. That sounds sickening to me. That sounds horrible.
So, I think that Satanism, it's hard to say, but you take take an old passage from the Bible about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? There were cities where a lot of pillaging and sex and gay would happen, and you know what God did? God just obliterated those entire places with all the people in them. So I think there's sort of a yeah, like all these this child in his, it's terrible, and I think it's the people that call it Satanism are almost overlooking a point that I'm trying to make, is that it's just simply it doesn't matter about the religion. It's just simply harmful to society.
Okay, so it obviously is harmful to society what they've been doing. I mean, we see accusation, and I'm not going to say this is exactly what the group was doing. I wasn't there around that time. I was just a speckle in my dad's, you know what. But at the end of the 20th century, a moral panic developed around claims. So it's claims, okay? This is just claims. What actually happened, I can't say. But sexual abuse, murder, cannibalism in its rituals, with children being among its victims. That's something huge. So is that a fact? We don't know that's a fact, but if it is, that is absolutely disgusting. And as a religion, I don't even think that's called for. I don't think you can get away with that as a religion, at least in America. Who's gonna, So this is the. Oh wait, no. Yeah, this is literally in the 1900s. This is literally in the 1900s. All right, so let's go deeper. Initially, the alleged perpetrators of such crimes were labeled witches. But that, I feel like that's a whole different thing. So we'll get into that later. So they were labeled witches, although the term Satanist was soon adopted as a favored alternative. And the phenomenon itself came to be called the Satanism scare. Okay. Promoters of the claims alleged that there was a conspiracy of organized Satanists who occupied prominent positions throughout society, from the police to politicians, and that they had been powerful enough to cover up their crimes. So, what I'll say about this before we go over to you, Joe, what you think about this. I watched a video on stream the other day, which I might get banned for. We don't know yet, because it showed some Neanderthal titties eating up another fucking person. All right, which was my bad. I'm sorry, Twitch, if you're watching this. I didn't mean to. I deleted the VOD, so hopefully I don't get banned for it. But um, I watched this thing about how the queen was a cannibal and that's how she lived so long. And in my head, I was like, that just sounds ludicrous. And then, you start seeing, like, I start going deeper into it on my own. I investigated on my own after my stream and all that stuff. And I was like, I mean, she could be. I don't know her. But a lot of the things regarding the queen and cannibalism and the accounts of people that came out and said, I've seen her eat children and I've seen her eat people. And when they were in the kitchen, they were preparing human legs. The accounts, if you go and dive deep into it yourself, the accounts just made against her are overwhelming. I want to say it was more than 20 people that I found that made accounts against the queen that were that were literally, like, you can look them up in history, were right next to her or were within the organization of whatever the crown is. So I thought that was a little crazy. Is it true? Are they trying to defraud the queen or trying to take her off the notch that she's held so highly on? I don't know, but I thought that was crazy because it plays into this right here. Is the queen a devil worshiper? I don't know. I can't tell you. But cannibalism,
That's a whole that's a
rituals,
whole nother rabbit hole. That's a
devil
whole
worshiping,
nother
I don't know.
rabbit.
And then, I mean, there's just so much that we could go deep into. And I think the queen is probably a little fucked up. I think we can all agree on that. I mean, you've seen her son with Epstein. You've seen her son with
Yeah.
Epstein. Let's be fucking real about that. Oh, I have a secret. This is what I thought was crazy about that, Joe. You tell me this. So when they go to investigate him, and the woman that claimed that she had underage sex with Prince Andrew, whatever his name is, she was like, yeah, he was sweating profusely. And he comes out and says, oh, because of the war. I don't know what he said. Because of the war, I can't sweat anymore. Fucking, are you kidding me? Because of the
He can't
war.
sweat. He was sweating
War.
profusely. He probably took some freaking
He said
amphetamines.
because of the war, I can't sweat. I have a sweat deficiency, and now he's not cooperating with the investigation. Okay, that's a little sketchy. I'm not gonna, I'm not the one that's
So he
breaking
can't
news on
sweat.
this. I'm speculating. Remember, this is all opinion. I'm speculating. I'm looking at what I see, and then I speculate what I think is true or what I think is bullshit. And what I think is
Yeah.
bullshit, I think Prince Andrew fucked a bunch of kids, and he's not coming out and saying shit. So that's me personally believing in that. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. Am I wrong? I don't know. We'll see if he actually cooperates with the investigation. But back to Satanism, right? Back to Satanism, Joe. So
Mm-hmm.
these are pretty powerful statements right here that all these rituals claim this. And it was a lot of people of the Christian belief that were claiming this in the 20th century. So what do you think? Do you think that stuff like this was actually going on in the 20th century, like the 1900s?
Well, yes. Oh, of course there's still things going on today, man. If you look at modern times, you got accusation of people like excuse me. Well, Jeffrey Epstein, let's just take that since you brought that up. Dude, he had his own private island for abuse and sex trafficking and things of that nature. Hopefully no murder. Serious, hope to God, but that's it. That's literally what these people are talking about. And then modern day um and that's sort of the hysteria behind how we're turning into sort of a Satanist uh, society. And here's another point I want to bring up is the revelations from the Bible. If anybody who's ever read through those, you don't got to be religious to read those. It's a cool story. But what the revelation um, there's a lot of cool, like God with a tongue of a sword, and his eyes are burned so bright if you looked at him you crumble into dust, and he
Yeah.
7 lampshades, and there's a whole lot of that. But what I really want to get to is the fact that when the Revelations is essentially about the end of the world or the end of society as we know it, and what happened was um, the end of the world. A couple points I think were that everybody who lives under the devil in this new satanic rule had the mark of the beast. There would be a universal currency.
Okay.
That the world would be plagued by fire and destruction, which it was in World War II. If you think about it, Europe got wiped out. Europe got destroyed in World War II, and it was fire bombs. It was literally raining fire. And I think you could translate that into that was the revelations. And now we are moving very quickly towards a cashless universal society, or universally accepted currency as a society, which is Bitcoin or even art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And something like um, I really personally like to use World War II as this analogy into this whole satanic society, because you had
Okay.
the symbol, which was the mark of the beast, which meant you were all right. You would
Yeah.
Jews, they would wear the Star of David. But what happened if you wore the Nazi symbol? It was basically if you had blonde hair and blue eyes, that was the symbol. Anything
Yeah.
else, and you would be thought of as this demon. They would
Okay.
literally demonize Jewish people. And the Bible is literally Jewish. It's the whole first half is about Judaism. So
Wow.
I like to make that analogy because a lot of it lines up, but make what you will of it. And I think we have moved sort of past that, hopefully, unless there's World War III and even more destruction happens.
Wow.
We're in a transitive state in terms of where we are as a society
Yeah.
and spiritually, metaphysically.
So that
Age of
that was a good
Aquarius, Age of
synopsis.
Pisces.
I think what you were saying there is a very good synopsis, right? Of how you could probably see a little bit of Satanism throughout history, correct? So
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring it to a little bit more modern times, something that we can agree with as people who are living in the now, the future. So you look at Charles
Yeah.
Manson, born
Mm-hmm.
1934 to 2017. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he was an American cult leader, which it says right here, whose followers carried out several notorious murders in the late 1960s.
Who is this?
Was
Oh, Charles Manson,
Charles
dude.
Manson.
That's a
I
good one.
think this is one of the. I don't think it's one of the most recent, but I think it is definitely, by far, one of the most prominent satanic murders. And the thing is that he didn't even do them himself. He convinced people to do them for him.
Mm-hmm.
Was it drug fueled? Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. You go back and
intoxication is part of the Satanism
this is
sort of
this
thing.
is
It's like
this is
get
about it,
drunk and do stupid crap.
and that's where it comes back to the whole Satanism belief that just enjoy the little things in life, but enjoy them so much that you overdo it, kind of type deal.
Yeah,
And this
excess,
is this is
excess.
what excess turns out to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it turns out to be. Charles Manson, and he's a perfect example of that. He's nuts. And if you don't know who Charles Manson is, he is absolutely insane. You need to look into it. Maybe we'll do a full down the rabbit hole on Charles Manson later on. But as of right now, it just perfect example of a Satanist. He convinced, I believe it was four. Don't quote me on this. I believe it was four teenagers or people around the age of teenagers to commit murder. He convinced them. It seems
Mm-hmm.
kind of, and it was all drug fueled, and people claim Satanism and all that stuff. So I highly recommend that. There's another one about a rapist in California. What was his name?
Ted
Satanist?
Bundy.
No, California raping. I can't remember. Richard Ramirez. This guy right here. If you want to see a person who claimed Satanism, this dude did car theft. Not only car theft or Grand Theft Auto, he would break into people's homes in California and he would rape them, these women, while they slept. And the thing about him is he claimed he was a Satanist. He would hold up the anarchy symbol on his hand in court, and he had women falling in love with him, even though he was a career criminal, a fucking rapist, a convicted rapist, and he still had women falling in love with him. That's a little. I mean, I don't know. You want to find out about Richard Ramirez? I suggest you look it up. He is absolutely nuts, but he's a claimed Satanist. And then this guy right here, Joe, I don't know if you can see my stream, but this guy right here, I believe it was from the 2000s. Vice. I want to quote Vice on this. Oh, I'm echoing through your mic, Sach.
Pazuzu.
I think I'm echoing through your mic.
Hold on.
Yeah,
You
if
good?
you could turn it down.
Somebody-
Okay. So if you want to know who Pazuzu is, Vice, Vice, does an amazing documentary on this man. This guy is 100% a self-proclaimed Satanist. What he did is he would throw parties, he would let people live at his house, right? Sounds good, right? But it was a completely lawless zone. People could shit in the corner. People could pee anywhere they wanted to. They could get fucked up. They could kill somebody in his fucking house. It did not matter to him because he claimed himself to the devil. And there's a wonderful, wonderful documentary on Vice about this man. And I highly, highly suggest you watch it if you want to find out about modern day Satanists. And
Sounds informative.
he was a completely normal kid who just got bullied. So maybe that plays a factor into it. Maybe somebody's looking for something and they latch on to the closest thing. And from what I hear from religion and all these things, the devil is easy to latch onto. So I highly recommend watching this. You can find it on Vice. You can literally look it on Facebook. You can find it on YouTube. Just look up Pazuzu Vice, Vice. Wonderful documentary on this man, and it's absolutely, you'll be like, what the fuck? This is nuts. So let's get back to Satanism itself. So we know there's ritual abuse, right, Satch?
Mm-hmm.
We know there's literary Satanism. What are the actual books? What do we want to look into now? I want to know what you want to go into, because we know Satanism is a thing, right? Whether it was founded officially in 1966 or whether it was just throughout the years of before Christ, after Christ, whatever we want to know. Satanism exists in pretty much all religions. It's the bad side to any evil. It's the pleasure to any insufferable pain. I mean, Satanism is the easy way out, it looks like, in a lot of religions. Or not religions, but in a lot of instances to combat, okay, what's the immediate solution instead of believing in my God who will have me eventually. You know what I'm saying? It's something crazy like that, right? So I want to get into it now, and I want to talk about, where is Satanism now? Okay, wait. It's saying First Satanic Church. I have to read this. I'm sorry. After LaVey's death in 1997, the Church of Satan was taken over by a new administration, and its headquarters were moved to New York. LaVey's daughter, the High Priestess Carla LaVey, felt this to be disservice to her father's legacy. The First Satanic Church was refounded on October 31st, 1999. 21 years ago, by Carla LaVey, to carry on the legacy of her father. She continues to run it out of San Francisco, California. So that was when that was the First Satanic Church, 1999, people. But was it actually? Was it
I've heard of
actually?
satanic masses taking place far before. Hold on. The one that you can look up on Spotify, I'll look it up right now for you. I'm not going to play it for copyright issues, but
Well, yeah, you can link it in chat if you want to, if people actually want to listen to a black mass or anything like that.
I think this is it.
This is kind of so the whole
masses.
relativity of Satanism actually being a church is relatively new, or at least it being recognized. But we don't know how many years back that Satanism has gone without it being recognized.
Artists, black mass, warlocks.
Am I crazy to think that? Joe? Am I crazy to think that Satanism has been happening for thousands of years? It had to be right when Lucifer fell. If Lucifer is the devil himself,
it's the yin to God's yang. It once God was created, so was the devil. It goes all the way back to the very first known religion.
It has to, but the thing is, this is whenever Lucifer did fall, Adam and Eve, whatever you want to say, whenever the apple was bitten, all that stuff, right? That's when it
Mm-hmm.
had to be happening. People had to be
You know what?
worshiping Lucifer for way longer than this is saying. Way
They might
longer.
have. I'm
Way
listening to it
longer.
right now. They might have actually taken it off Spotify since I last found it. I'm looking for it right now. Um, I can't find it.
Okay. So this is what I'm looking at right here. I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at theistic Satanism, Luciferianism, Order of
Mm-hmm.
Nine Angels, Temple of Set. I believe that's Egyptian. Don't get me wrong.
Belief
Reactive
history.
Satanism, demographics, and legal recognition. All right, so we're going to go down the sects, SECTS, the
Oh,
subsites.
I found it. I found it. Satanic Bible.
Okay, link that in chat. Link that in chat if people want to look at the Satanic Bible. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you guys are God-fearing individuals, I don't recommend you look at the Satanic Bible. We're just providing the information of what we're looking into here. So,
Mm-hmm. It's right here. It's the upside down pentagram. That's the mark of the devil.
so this
So
is
that's where by the way, a lot of people take pentagrams as a devil thing, as Satanist thing. Obviously Wiccan and Satanism, when it comes to their incantations, I think Wiccan is almost like sort of the hub for all things incantations.
yeah.
Satanism borrows a lot of it. Even I think Christianity might borrow some. It's kind of like the black magic you hear in Christianity that isn't allowed, but it's not always quite devilish unless you're an
Okay.
extremist. Um, but uh, oh shoot, I forgot where I was even going with that. Oh right, Wiccan. The pentagram, the upside down pentagram is the devil symbol. A regular pentagram is not. So if you ever see
Okay.
one of those and say it's the devil, it's not. It has to be upside down,
Okay. So let me get into
and there
this
has
right
to be some
here.
other. It looks like some other symbols around it too, which actually makes
Yeah.
it what it is.
So I'm going to get into this right here. The Satanic Temple. All right. We're going to go down the sex. Remember, not SEX like all you were thinking, but the SECTS. The Satanic Temple is an American religious and political activist organization based in Salem, Massachusetts. Would you look at that?
Mm,
Salem, Massachusetts. That's
the
only
witch
about
trials,
7 hours from me, and I'm gonna be going to visit
bro.
that very
That's
shortly.
2 hours away from me, dude. That's
Two
not even
hours away, and look at that. The political
Chris,
activist
Chris,
organization.
dude, you remember some of the crap we
I
talked about the
remember.
state forest, bro.
I
Oh my
remember.
gosh.
I
With
remember
the
the
with the
I
cult,
remember the
with the
pentagrams
Satanist
there.
cult in the woods, man. That was
Yeah. Hey, man.
ooh,
And the lemon heads or whatever. All right, let's go
the
deeper in
lemon
that.
heads,
Yeah,
bro.
that's another story. All right, so the
Yeah.
organization actively participates in public affairs that have manifested in several public political actions.
Hmm.
So this you're telling me the Satanic Temple is within politics. It's infiltrated it. And okay, I'm going to say this right now. It is not surprising that it is in politics. What's surprising to me is that it's not more common knowledge.
Mm.
That it's not more common and people don't talk about it as much because people do worship Satan. I mean, I guess people are very reserved about what their beliefs are, and more power to you. You don't have to tell people what your beliefs are.
It's a tough topic for a religious person to just
But
talk about.
yeah, but I
It's
mean, if you see somebody of prominent figure, I mean, I guess if you're a Satanist, you probably wouldn't say anything. Be like, oh, okay, we got this dude on our side. But okay, let's see this. Political actions and efforts at lobbying with a focus on the separation of church and state. Well, obviously, okay, so this isn't satanic. I'll tell you this right now. The separation of church and state is not satanic. That was literally what George Washington preached when he created this country. You can go back to any document. You can go back to what was the address? It was Washington's farewell address, I believe, where he stated church and state must stay separate. He said, America, to succeed as a country, must never get involved with foreign affairs. They must be their own country, which obviously, basically getting involved in foreign affairs was inevitable, but that's nothing to do with this. We'll probably go into the Freemasons later on in another episode. But the separation of church and state isn't satanic. It's right. I mean, you don't have to you don't have to tax church. You don't. I don't think you should, but the fact that church is so involved, we even have in God we trust on our currency. It's that shouldn't even be a thing. It shouldn't. Honestly, it should not, because a lot of Americans don't believe that. I'm not
This is
saying
a
that I
very
don't or
weird.
I do. It's there needs to be a separation between government and church. But
Well, when you get into the argument of God, because God, even in other religions, like I said, is not quite a person. God is a completely different concept in something like Hinduism, where it's more of a mindset, or
okay,
Buddhism, which technically doesn't have a God, but when you reach quote unquote nirvana and you become enlightened, that's about as close to God as
okay,
you
but
get.
it's still considered church, and there should be a complete separation between excuse me, sorry,
And then
politics and
what that is sort of it's kind of like the paradox. It's like the unanswerable question, where it's like, well, if God is just a mindset, then what's the opposite of that? But then once you can take it like you can bring it together another step and say, well, what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of that?
well, yeah,
Once
it's
something
just
exists
it's just
within
another
itself,
rabbit. It's
once
another
something
rabbit hole.
once something is incomparable, yeah, exactly. Once something is incomparable, that's
It's just
technically the what it is.
it's
But
another
then
rabbit hole. You can't.
once you talk about it, it brings automatically that thing that there could possibly be an
But
opposition to it.
and this is why
So
the government should
the
be
more you talk
separated.
about it, the
This is why,
less it
okay,
works.
all religions should get a tax relief, but it's like the fucking flying spaghetti monster is a fucking religion. It's a legit
Yeah,
religion,
it's a legit religion
and
because people
but that's the
worship
thing.
it.
They should get tax relief, because if people actually show up and they
Bro,
actually worship,
dude,
that's what it
bro, hold
is.
on,
That's what
Chris.
it is.
We should do a whole different podcast today, but Scientology, bro.
No, that's on my list. I have it, Joe. I'm telling you, I have a whole list. But let's get back to Satanism, because this is my thing. It's the fact that they're saying that Satanism is trying to separate church and state is a ludicrous thing to say,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm trying to separate church and state. I'm not a Satanist. The only reason I'm trying to separate church and state is
It's an
because I think
American
the church,
ideal.
it was literally in George Washington's farewell address, and that's what I believe in. And I'm sorry if I believe in one of the founding fathers for what he said.
That's an American. No, it's an American ideal. That's
It's an ideal. It's not a religion. That's just what I believe. I don't believe that the church should be given this much money by the state. It's ridiculous. I think the church will make enough on its own if it has tax exemptions like it does. Should it pay taxes? No. Church is church. That's community, right? That's
mm-hmm.
community. It
Mm-hmm.
builds a good community. But does it play into the economy of a state and a government? No. So Satanism doesn't either. Satanism, I can't say what Satanism does because I'm not a Satanist, but let's look into this more. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
These are
let's
all
go
just
back to it.
objective concepts, by the way.
It's objective. Yes, you can disagree with me. You can agree with me all you want, right? But let's go into this. So we were at the Satanic Temple. The organization actively participates in public affairs that have manifested in several public political actions and efforts at lobbying with a focus on the separation of church and state and using satire against Christian groups. Okay, so I agree with this part right here, the separation of church and state when it comes to Satanism. But when it comes to Satanism, using satire against Christian groups, using slander, disbelief, all these things, I don't agree with that whatsoever. You cannot demoralize somebody because of their beliefs that or what they believe is true to them, what they believe their God is. No, you can't demoralize somebody for that. You can't. It's just absolutely
Mm-hmm.
wrong.
Yep.
That's what somebody believes is going to happen to them after they pass or while they're alive. They see miracles. No, you can't do that. You just can't. I don't agree with that, but I do agree with the political part of it, the separation of church and state. I agree with the political part. Okay. Satire against Christian groups that it believes interfere with personal freedom.
Mm-hmm.
What Christian groups interfere with personal freedom? What Christian groups interfere with personal freedom? Honestly, Joe, can you tell me a Christian group that interferes with personal freedom?
Um, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too because I don't fucking think there is. I think a lot of good. I think there's a lot more good Christians than bad Christians out there, but I don't think that bad Christians interfere with personal freedom. I think just bad Christians are bad people in general. Just like I think bad Satanists and all this shit are bad people. Like people that want to do harm are just bad people. So I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, satire against Christian groups. Why would you slander? The only reason you're trying to slander somebody is because they don't agree with your opinion. And that's a basic fact of life. If you're trying to slander somebody because they think something differently than the way you think it, you're just a shitty person. If you can't even hear them out, you're just a shitty person. You're not a Satanist. You're not anything crazy. You're just a shitty person. So let's be real on that. So we can debunk that right here. That's what we're debunking right now. Okay. So, according to Rendell Lewis and
Doctors
Peterson,
hate this, dude.
doctors hate this one trick to respect human beings. Fucking Christ, dude. Like, according to Rendell Lewis and Peterson, the group were rationalist political pranksters. So they started out as pranksters because they didn't like a political party. The fact that there's political parties is ludicrous. So anybody that's a part of a political party, you're stupid. You should just be a part of politics and believe what you believe in. Don't nominate yourself as a Democrat or Republican just because the fucking media tells you to. Nominate yourself as a person that believes in the right things in the world. That never made sense to me, is to just agree with a part. Oh, I'm super far right, I'm super far left. No, shut the fuck up. You believe what you believe. Don't label it as something. Their pranks are designed to highlight the religious hypocrisy and advance the cause of secularism. Secularism may refer to any worldview or principle which defines the secular at a given context and prioritizes, justifies, or promotes it over the non-secular. That, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know what secularism is. I don't fucking know. I really don't fucking know.
I'm
That
thinking.
I didn't understand that
I
for
don't want to.
shit.
I don't want to say
So,
anything.
but I will
that's
talk
wrong.
on religious hypocrisy. There's going to be religious, people are going to doubt, okay? There's going to be hypocrisy in anything. But if somebody fucking believes something and that's what they believe, you have no fucking right to infringe on their beliefs, at least in America. You have no fucking right. So if you want to come out and say a Jewish person is wrong because I'm Christian, you're fucking wrong. You're not a Christian. You're a fucking hypocritical little piece of shit who wants to just make their opinion right in the world. Just love somebody.
A
If you
nice
were a
argument.
Christian,
Yeah,
if you were an actual Christian or you were an actual genuine person, you would say, "I understand you don't believe with me. This is why I don't think you this is why I don't think you're right, but I will let you believe what you believe." And the same goes for
Exactly.
any religion, not just Christians. It goes for any religion.
Respect.
It's just respect. It's mutual
And
respect.
it's one of the main a great argument for anything about
This is why wars are
disrespecting a certain
fought.
demographic of humans. It's like for gay people, right? It's like, okay, Christian, if gays if what is it? If God hates gays, dude, but God made gay people, where are you, like, are you saying you hate God, or are you saying God hates his creation?
And if you
And
actually
then
want to, well,
by
this is
definition, that makes you a bad Christian,
so this
because
is
now
what I'll
you're
say to
hating
this, because
God.
this has been
That's making you
debunked.
a Satanist.
I don't want to talk about gay people getting slandered by God on my channel. I encourage people to actually go look this up. I don't want to get into it. Just look up what the Bible actually says about this, because it's some crazy belief that a radical I'm not even going to say Christians, I'm just going to say extremists made up about gay people. So I just encourage you to
That's a good
actually
way to
go
put it.
look this up. I'm not going to speak about it on my channel because I believe everybody has a right to do what they believe, that what is right to them in the extent of the law. In the extent of the law. And I will continue to reiterate that. And I believe laws should be changed based on the times and what's happening in the world and how technology evolves. So,
Thomas Jefferson said, if a law is unjust, you have an obligation to break that law.
which is why we're breaking so many peaceful protest laws right now. And I think that's completely relevant with what's going on. And we're getting way off topic of the satanic culture, so let's get back to it. So I think we're gonna skip the satanic temple on Wikipedia.org because this is actually making me more mad because it's going after Christian groups and then it's also going after Satan groups. It seems very opinionated the way it's written. So we'll go after theistic Satanism. Theistic Satanism, also known as traditional Satanism, spiritual Satanism, or devil worship, is a form of Satanism with the primary belief that Satan is an actual deity. So if you don't know what a deity is, we'll highlight it here. A deity or
Spiritual
God
being.
is supernatural being considered divine or sacred. So you look back in Mayan culture. Let's say you're familiar with Mayan culture, or you're familiar with even I believe even some what was it? Persian cultures. I believe Rome too. Rome. A lot of Roman cultures. Deities. Greek too. Deities were people that were considered beings of God, right? So these people that believe in Satan, based off of the theistic Satanism, is that Satan is a deity. He's a being of God, but he's godlike himself, and he reveres worship. All right. So let's see. Other characteristics of theistic Satanism may include a belief in magic. Okay, so let's be real. What do you think miracles are in Christianity? Magic. It's all magic. You can put it into any relative term. You can construe this in any way possible. I could say, okay, miracles are magic, but I can also say theistic Satanism is miracles. That's how you can spin this shit. So I don't want people to think magic is exactly what it is because anybody can turn that in any which way. So I will say belief in witches manipulated through ritual. So through ritual, through practice. That's what I'll say. Okay, that's what it is. It is a belief through practice and ritual, not through magic, but a belief through practice and ritual, which makes more sense. So we'll take the magic part out of there, right? Um, let's see here. Although that is not a defining criterion in theistic, Satanists may focus solely on devotion. There it is right there. You don't have to focus on the magic. You can just focus on the devotion when it comes to Satanism. Satch, can you please take over real quick? I gotta take a quick break real quick.
Yes, sir. Let's see, Satanism. People call marijuana the devil's lettuce. I don't know about that, man. Call me a Satanist, but I like smoking a nice blunt every while. I don't know about you guys. Um, you know, being within my rights and all that to smoke a little bit of dank, enjoy myself. Does that make me a Satanist, people? Does that is that a satanic ideal? I don't know. You know, does having sex with people before marriage, does that make me a bad person, guys? Does that make me bad? No, I don't think it does. I think a lot of the rules that were written down are rules to keep social harmony more than anything, to stay in the good graces of people. A lot of the rules in Christianity and I think the Satanic Bible too were put there in order to instruct people how to live in harmony with each other. I think some of these child abuse things are absolutely awful. That's not living in harmony with your fellow man. That's pretty bad karma, if you ask me. You're killing children is killing a part of yourself. You're killing a part of yourself. There are some religions that teach you to love the world as you love yourself. So if you're out there killing parts of yourself, if you're out there raping and pillaging and murdering parts of the world, you're doing that to yourself. Imagine if that happened to you. It's people have this dog eat dog mentality when we could just base a we could have a society based on respect for each other
Exactly.
and love.
Exactly.
not everybody's perfect, man. Nobody's God here. Nobody, and
And
nobody's the
let's get
devil
back
either.
to
If you want to put on the
Satanism.
other side,
Let's
yeah,
get back to
yeah.
Satanism. All right, so I mean, I don't feel I need to necessarily go deeper into Satanism to understand what's going on here. But
Hmm.
I'll go deeper. I want to know what the Temple of Set is, and I want to know what the Order of Nine Angels is as well. This says angles, but I believe it meant to say angels. Uh, Let me just tell everybody right now, Satanism is probably a religion that's practiced daily by not a lot of people, but a good number of people in America. And Satanism cannot be. Oh, look at Richard Ramirez is right here. But Satanism cannot be denounced as a religion because if it was denounced as a religion, that means we can denounce every single other religion and whatever anybody else believes in. So that's why Satanism is relevant in today's culture, because you can't cancel every single religion, and that's just a fact. So if people strongly believe this and there's a church for it, you can't cancel it. So let's read the Order of the Nine Angels, which I believe meant to say angels, but it says angles right here. All right. According to the group's own claims, the Order of the Nine. Okay, it is angles. What the fuck? I guess it is angles. I guess it is angles. All right. According to the
An
group's
angle.
own claims, the Order of the Nine Angles was established in Shropshire, or Shropshire, abbreviated Shrops denominant. Okay, county in England. Okay, the Order of the Nine Angles was established in Shropshire, Western England during the late 1960s, when a Grand Mistress united a number of ancient pagan groups active in the area. Okay, so if anybody doesn't know what paganism is, just look up the Vikings or look up the paganism religion or anything to do with paganism and you'll find out because it's actually fucking insane. We're getting into it in probably I want to say about 9 or 10 episodes. We have about 10 episodes planned out right now. Paganism, I believe, was 11 or 12. So we'll get into that later. This account states that when the order's grand mistress migrated to Australia, a man known as Anton Long took over as the new Grand Master. From 1976 onward, he authored an array of texts for the tradition, codifying and extending its teachings, mythos, and structure. Various academics have argued that Long is the pseudonym of British neo-Nazi activist David Mamet. Wow. So they're saying that this guy who wrote these texts is a neo-Nazi basically. They're saying that this guy is a neo-Nazi who wrote the Satanist language or the Satanist text. They're saying he is
It's
a
not
neo-Nazi.
surprising,
It's not. And I
especially
mean,
no, it's not.
I think I got a
Well, it
little
actually it even fits more into my narrative. World War II was sort of the Bible's revelations.
true. We're
Yeah.
about an hour and a half into this, Satch. Let's do a little recap. What have we found out so far?
So we went into Robert Johnson, the story of the blues legend Robert Johnson, and how he sold his soul to the devil for for mastery of the guitar. We learned that Satanism, the devil, the idea of the devil himself dates all the way back to Zoroastrianism, which is one of the first known religions.
Okay,
We've
so hold
learned
on one
that
second. All the way back to Zoroastrianism. Okay, keep going.
we learned that what did we do? We looked up a couple of the story Charles. We dipped into stories of Charles Manson and
Okay, Charles
Richard
Manson.
Ramirez and
Richard Ramirez.
hmm
Ramirez
hmm
confirmed Satanists.
yep.
Okay, what else?
Um, uh, what else have we talked about? Um, some of the hysteria involving, the abusive. You can find the Satanic Bible on Spotify for anybody who's
Satanic
interested in that.
Bible is on Spotify.
You can listen to the Black Mass of the guy preaching the Satanic Bible.
So what I think I found is that Christians were highly influential in the labeling of Satanists,
Mm-hmm.
or those who were considered
Excuse me.
to be Satanists. Not that they actually were, but that they were considered to be. Considered. That's a whole different thing. And Christians played a part in that. And a lot of other, okay, I'll say Christians / others were highly influential, but
Mm-hmm.
Satanism has most likely been around since the 6,000 BC?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Wait, was it 6,000 BC or was it 6th century?
Oh, 6th century, my bad.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know. I thought it. I thought you said century.
No, I don't know. 6th century. Spelled century wrong. Century BC. What else did I find out about Satanism? The first church was established in New York. It did not give a city, but is now ran in San Francisco, CA. So if you ever want to become a Satanist, you can go to San Francisco, California. I don't promote it, but if that's what you believe in. The first church was established in New York, but is now ran in San Francisco, California. So when it comes down to Satanism, I think this is the thing. It's obviously about devil worship, right? Obvious. It's the one thing. It's just like how people worship God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not worshiping the wrong thing. It's just worshiping what you believe in.
Yeah.
Who are we to say it's wrong or right when we haven't seen the other side?
Well, my beliefs are rooted in the fact that as long as you don't go killing anybody, I'm not trying to get into, like particular religions, but the
Yeah.
Ten Commandments does a pretty good job. They say don't kill, don't steal, don't covet don't covet your neighbor's wife, don't covet your neighbor's goods. It's basically saying it's a pretty good parameters for being a good person. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
It's not telling you to go out and sacrifice goats in order to, which people did. You have the story of Isaac, which was Abraham, who was the father of Judaism. God told him to sacrifice his son, man.
Yeah.
And Abraham's just like, all right, I guess I'll do it because you said so. And he ended up not doing it, which is good because I
Yeah.
think,
But the thing is that there's human sacrifice relevant in the Christian religion as well as the Satanism. The thing
yeah,
is
I think as
that
long as you're not killing, not stealing, Moses kind of, I think he laid it out pretty well. You
yeah.
be a good person. There's no other God. I mean, that's where you get being a hard Jew or a hard Christian. But yeah,
So
I personally don't follow anything that says, in order to be a happy and fulfilling member of society, you have to rape a child or do anything of that even general sense.
so what I can ask you is have you learned anything about Satanism today?
I have learned a little bit about. So, what was the whole thing about the nine angles?
The 9 angles. You want me to read it again?
Yeah, if we want to get into this,
Okay, the order of the
like
9
really learn
angles.
some stuff. I'd
The
like to
group
nine
The
angles.
group's, according to the group's own claims, the Order of the Nine Angles was established in Shropshire, Western England, during the late 1960s, when a Grand Mistress united a number of ancient pagan groups active in the area. So, if anybody didn't know, pagans were relevant in England, but England adopted the idea of Christianity from, I believe it was 900 AD. 900 AD, maybe a little bit before, probably 700 AD, maybe even sooner. Honestly, don't quote me. But from
Okay.
what I know, there was Vikings there, and there was also Christians there. So Vikings were pagans and Christians were English, and there was still a mix of two. And there was also the Goths. So the Goths were also pagans, and so it's very confusing. You have to go into history to understand what you're getting into. But apparently, a grand mistress united a number of ancient pagan groups active in the area, which means this woman must have been a pagan from one of
Well,
the groups.
sorry, paganism isn't necessarily Satanism.
It's not. No,
That's a
it's
whole
not.
different rabbit hole.
So, but
Yeah.
she united a number of ancient pagan groups active in the area of Shropshire, England. This account states that when the order's Grand Mistress migrated to Australia, a man known as Anton Long took over as the new Grand Master. From 1976 onward, he authored an array of texts. So this is even relevant. This is even way back in the ADs or whatever, like the 900s. This is this is the 20th century. He authored an array of texts for the tradition, codifying and extending its teachings, mythos, and structure. So he basically authored a book of Satanism. That's what he did. This is Anton Long, by the way. Various academics have argued that Long is the pseudonym of British neo-Nazi activist David Myatt. So he is basically like just speaking for that guy. An allegation that Myatt has denied. The ONA arose to public attention in the early 1980s, spreading its message through magazine articles over the following 2 decades. In 2000, it established a presence on the internet, later adopting social media to promote its message. So the Order of the Nine Angles has been promoting its message for years now, and still well into the 21st century, apparently. The ONA is a secretive organization and lacks any central administration, which means it has nobody truly in charge, instead operating as a network of allied satanic practitioners. So people that just practice Satanism have allied together to run this organization, which it terms the Collective with a K. It consists largely of autonomous cells known as the ONA known as Nexions. Sorry, not the ONA. They're known as Nexion. The majority of these are located in Britain, Ireland, and Germany. So this isn't even in America. This is Britain, Ireland, and Germany. Okay? Although others are located elsewhere in Europe and in Russia, Egypt, South Africa, Brazil, Australia, and the United States. So this reaches across many countries, right? The ONA described their occultism as tradition Satanism. The ONA's writings encourage human sacrifice, referring to their victims as Opfers. According to that sounds so German. Opfers. That's German, dude. According to the order's teachings, such Opfers must demonstrate character faults that mark them out as being worthy of death. So they have to be worthy of death before they can be sacrificed. And accordingly, the ONA insists that children must never be victims. So it's only adults. So basically, just killing people is okay, just because they're adults. I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard to go into this because what if somebody's a pedophile and all that stuff? How do you just and they only get 2 years in prison? So it's hard to justify that. But if they're just murdering people because they stole something from a store, that's completely wrong. That's completely wrong. Let's be real about that.
That's draconian.
Yeah. So the ONA's writings encourage human sacrifice, referring to their okay. And accordingly, the ONA insists that children must never be victims. No ONA cell have admitted to carrying out a sacrifice in a ritualized manner, but rather order members have joined the police and military in order to carry out such killings. Wait a fucking minute. Let me read that back. Let me read that back. No
bad, dude.
ONA cell have admitted to carrying out a sacrifice in a ritualized manner, but rather order members have joined the police and military in order to carry out such killings.
With
Wow.
whoa,
Wow.
wait a
Wow.
whoa.
Are you
That's a
fucking
that's kind
kidding
of
me?
a dude. That's kind of a
Are you
that's kind of an
kidding me?
explosion.
Are you okay? I'm gonna read it one more time because this is so fucking fathoming right now. No ONA cell order
Wait, can
of
you can you
nine
tell us what
angles.
ONA stands for?
ONA
Oh,
stands
Order
for
of Nine Angles. Okay,
Order
okay,
of
okay.
Nine Angles cell have admitted to carrying out a sacrifice in a ritualized manner, but rather order members have joined the police and military in order to carry out such killings of human sacrifice.
That's evil, bro.
That is truly evil.
That's truly
That is
evil.
truly evil. And if this is true, this is absolutely sickening. Absolutely
That's
sickening.
that's something that that's very relevant to.
It is.
That's extreme. Like you
Well,
taking Derek
well,
Chauvin. What if
okay.
he? What if he was a part of this Order of Nine Angles and everybody he was with on
Well,
that little
I'm not
posse
okay. So I'm not going to get
I'm
on my
just
stream. I'm not going to get on my stream and my podcast and say Derek Chauvin is Order
no, no,
Nine
no.
Angles.
Whoa! I didn't
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
just
No,
said
I know,
what if
I know.
it brings up the question, the very, very clear question of what if this is and if it's saying this in Wikipedia, if it's a true fact that somebody has said who is part of the ONA who looks in does this stuff, that opens up a lot of questions about who is
Who we
policing
hire?
us and who is
Yeah.
protecting us, who we
Well,
hire.
and it's kind of
This evil
crazy
concept.
because you look at.
That's an evil
I'll
concept.
highlight it. I'll highlight it for stream. No ONA cell have admitted to carrying out a sacrifice in a ritualized manner, but rather order members have joined the police and military in order to carry out such killings. So remember, these are most prominent in England, Germany, and Ireland. But although others are located elsewhere in Europe and in Russia, Egypt, South Africa, Brazil, Australia, and the United States, which means they may not have even infiltrated the Americas. They may not have. But the thing is, this is very, very, very revealing. So
That's very
so this is saying
that's a
people
scary idea.
this is saying people in the position of power who are Satanists who want to get a ritualistic fucking killing on
Are trying to
bop
find
bop.
legal ways to do it.
Not just legal ways, legal immune ways to do it.
Yeah.
That is sickening.
Legally protected ways. Exactly.
Legally protected.
Mm-hmm.
So that raises the question if, and I don't want to be the one to say this, but should people actually be looking into other people's religious beliefs?
Dude,
When it comes to a position of power, if somebody wants to join the military and they're a Satanist and literally part of their whole fucking religion is sacrifice, is that fair? Is that fair? I don't know. I'm not the one to make these decisions, but is that fair? Is that fair? If somebody literally joins the army because they want to kill somebody for Satan, is that fair? And I mean, I understand it's a religion, but do you tell them yes or no? I mean, we all go through a mental screening. We go through a mental screening.
If you're doing it,
It's very tough. But think about it as a cop. Now think about it as a cop.
Such a fine line of a as a cop doing it in order to.
Bean, why are you crying?
Oh man, that's
scary to think about. That is scary to think about.
Because I like think about going back to I bring it up again, but World War II. You know, you have people who got just enlisted into the military just to go kill. Like that. That's such a loaded question. If you're going out, because a lot of I think we should look into this. A lot of people, when it comes to this ONA and Satanism, they always say it has to be someone innocent, right? It has to be
Yeah.
someone innocent or a virgin. So where's the line? Where do you
Well,
draw that?
I mean, the thing is, it's they're just trying to praise Satan with
By
a
killing somebody
sacrifice.
innocent?
Yeah.
By killing somebody
I mean, I
innocent?
wouldn't. Well, is somebody who commits a crime innocent? That's the thing.
Exactly.
But
And that's where
who
innocence is
dictates what a
relative.
crime? Well, who dictates what a crime is besides the law?
And yeah.
Besides a
Um,
collective group of people that are here in that certain amount of time. So you're going to tell me that if I fucking, you know what, I'm not going to get into it. If you're going to tell me I break a law, right? But in God's eyes, I don't break that law. Is that still, am I still a good person? What is the victim? It's so
there's a
hard to
guy on
think about.
Instagram you could follow if you wanna listen to somebody who is all about the word of God, quote unquote. Look him up. His name is Reverend X. He's quite the guy. I've actually talked to him in, one on one before and played music with him. He was a pretty prominent figure. He was on Tosh.0. He was on
Oh wow.
Tosh.0 once. Yeah, he was one of those like TV preachers from LA in the 90s, and he's quite a character, man. Let me tell you, that
Yeah.
guy. You can get in a religious argument with him. Oh man, it's he's an entertaining man. Let me tell
Yeah.
you.
So, Satch, let's wrap this up here. All right, Satanism.
Oh, I wish we could get him on here. That would be
Yeah.
freaking cool if we could get him on a
So
podcast like
we're
this.
definitely gonna come back to Satanism as another podcast because this is such a broad subject and we went so many different ways. This was a
Hmm.
great first podcast. By the way, thank
That
you
was literally the
everybody.
best thing I've learned about this thing of the ONA. I
Thank
think
you
the ONA,
everybody
like
for
Order of
joining.
Unangled, is something that people should look into.
Thank you
Also,
everybody for joining.
like accusations of people at like billionaires, like Bill Gates, and how they
Yeah,
practice
we could have gone so
satanic
much
things.
deeper. I think we're gonna
Yeah.
keep it at 2 hours though. I think we're gonna keep this at
Yeah.
2 hours. I think that's
It was a good
fair.
first stream. I think this is a
And
very good
it's
first podcast. I
dude,
think
we had a very, it
we
was
have a
very
long ways to go,
successful.
brother.
We have a
We have
long ways to
a
go, but this is definitely the start of going down the rabbit hole. And this is what
yep.
we wanted. We wanted a little insight. And we're going to go deeper into Satanism later on in our podcast. But right now we want to just start going into topics and topics that we think viewers want. And right now this was requested by viewers, which is why we did Satanism. And we held it to 2 hours and we'll probably go deeper in on other episodes, but this is a Wednesday night. It also is 8:46 Eastern Standard Time. So I think we're going to cut it right before 9 o'clock. And what I want to say is thank you to everybody who joined in, and we're gonna go deeper into this. This is definitely something that we need to keep on the back burner because Satanism is definitely a broader subject, and I think we covered a lot. I think we did cover a lot, and I'm really happy with how this went. And we're gonna continue to do this. I think we're gonna be doing it twice a week. Our next episode will probably be Monday of next week. Monday. That is Monday. Let's pull it up here. Monday, the 22nd of June is when we'll be doing our next episode. And the episode title is To Be Determined. But we will be doing a new episode on Monday. We might do it a little bit earlier because it is a weeknight. I think we're going to be doing it at 6 o'clock. I think that's a better time, 6 or 6:30, so more people can join in. But thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. Joe, do you have anything to say to the viewers?
I just want to say I don't know about you guys.
My cat muted you.
And smoke a little bit of the. Oh,
My cat muted.
now?
Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. My cat muted you.
So I just want to say thank you all for listening in. We have a huge journey ahead of us, and anybody who would love to be along the way, it's so appreciated. And I don't know about you guys, but after this podcast, I'm gonna go across the street and smoke a little bit of the devil's lettuce.
Okay. Remember, follow Joe Satch on SoundCloud and also follow twitch.tv/da_Chris_. Oh wait, I spelled that wrong. I don't remember what I'm saying. Real Chris with underscores instead of spaces. All right, thank you for watching. Goodbye.